While I spend a majority of my time planning Walt Disney World trips for families, there's something oh so special about Disneyland. I grew up going to Disneyland and went many times before I ever set foot into Walt Disney World, and I am sharing some of my favorite differences between the two parks.
I'm Christina. I'm a traveler, a planner, and most importantly, a mom. I'm sharing my best tips to make traveling as a family a little less stressful. So put down your phone, pack your bags, and let's showcase the world.
My name is Christina, and I'm the owner of Showcase the World Travel, a modern and award winning travel agency dedicated to helping families take a break from the busy. And I spend a lot of time planning Walt Disney World trips. I talk about how, my first trip to Walt Disney World when I was in the second grade is kind of what I think inspired my love of travel. I wanted to see all the countries of the World Showcase, but I had been to Disneyland so many times before I ever set foot into Walt Disney World. I am based on the East Coast, so Disney World is a little bit easier for me, and it is where a lot of my travelers want to go. But Disneyland is on the West Coast in California. It's Walt's original park, and it just has a quaintness and a charm to it that's not there at Walt Disney World. So one of the big differences is the size. So Walt Disney World is 40 square miles. The legend has it is that Walt was in the park as he loved to just kind of walk around Disneyland in California. He was walking around Disneyland one time, and there were some people leaving the park before it closed, and he kind of asked, "Well, why are you leaving?" And they had been up on the gondolas, and they said we could see the traffic and we wanted to get ahead of it. And so Walt was inspired at that moment to say, well, at Walt Disney World, it's going to be this huge place where you can't see the traffic and you're totally taken away from the world, essentially. And so Walt Disney World in Florida is on 40 square acres. It's the size of San Francisco. The entirety of the Disneyland park can fit into the Magic Kingdom parking lot. So Walt Disney World is huge. It is a full vacation. You're going to spend 7 days there and not do everything. And Disneyland is much more quaint. It's two parks, three resorts, and a lot of people will pair their Disneyland trip with a trip to the beach or something else in Southern California. And so the two parks there, you're definitely going to want to spend 3 days, maybe 3 or 4 days. But then, of course, if you're doing a full 7-day trip, then you can easily add on the beaches or San Diego or Hollywood or something along those lines. There's just, like I said, the quaintness and the charm. It's Walt's original park. So if you're a Disney fan and you walk into Disneyland, you're going to feel that difference, that nostalgia. And you're going to feel that sense of familiarity. That's a hard word to say when you're recording a video, apparently. So you're going to feel that, you're just going to feel like you're home. A big difference is instead of Cinderella's castle, you have Sleeping Beauty's castle. It is a little bit smaller, and you can go into it. There's a really cool exhibition inside of Sleeping Beauty's castle, which you can't do in Cinderella's. There's some dark rides there, some of the original dark rides that no longer exist in Walt Disney World. So Snow White's Scary Adventures, Pinocchio, and Alice in Wonderland. There's this wonderful ride called the Storybook Land Canals and the Casey Jr. Train. So all of these things are a little bit different. Something that's not a different attraction, but it's a completely different experience is It's a Small World. So the It's a Small World in Disneyland is the original from the World's Fair. It has an outdoor entrance and it has Disney characters in the ride. So that's a lot of fun. Pirates I like a lot better at Disneyland. You're definitely going to find some differences, even though you have the Jungle Cruise, you have It's a Small World, you have Pirates, you have some of those same rides. You are going to feel some differences, and there are some things I like better at Disneyland and some things I like better at Disney World. So just because they're at both parks and you've been to Disney World, it doesn't mean you should skip them in Disneyland. Then of course there's the Matterhorn, which is exclusive to Disneyland Park. And California Adventure, Disney's California Adventure, is a completely different park. It's not any of the parks that are at Walt Disney World. And so there's some really cool lands that you could only experience in California. That's Cars Land, where you have the Radiator Spring Racers. You have this beautiful artwork and rock work and architecture. You have you feel like you're stepping, it's one of those immersive lands that you feel like you're stepping into the movie, and it brings the town to life with Flo's V8 Cafe and shops, and so that's a really unique experience that's only in California. You have the Adventures Campus, so because when Disney bought the Marvel rights, there were some Marvel attractions at Universal Orlando. Disney's not allowed to use a lot of the Marvel characters in Florida, but they can use them in California. And so you have Avengers Campus, you have Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. You can meet Marvel characters. You can see some shows with Doctor Strange and Black Panther. You have the new Spider-Man attraction. You have another new attraction coming to Avengers Campus soon. You have PIM Technologies restaurant, and so the Avengers Campus is only in Disneyland. Something that's important to note about the big differences between the two is Walt Disney World, you're going to have a lot of vacationers. At Disneyland, you're going to have a lot of locals, and so because of that, you have a lot of locals who have annual passes, so they'll do a lot of more different and special seasonal things. So you have some celebrations of Hispanic heritage around Dia de los Muertos. You have lunar celebration around the Lunar New Year. You have these special seasonal events. Haunted Mansion gets a seasonal overlay each year that is Nightmare Before Christmas themed, and so there's definitely some things that are going to pop up for your Disneyland trip. Another area that is exclusive to California Adventure is Pixar Pier, where you have the Incredicoaster, which actually goes upside down. You have the Pixar Pal Around, Jesse's Critter Carousel, and a Motion Whirlwind, which are a carousel and a whirlwind ride. The Lamplight Lounge is a really, really cool dining experience. There's a lot of different dining experiences. While some of the rides may be the same, most of the dining experiences are different. And so even if you've been to Walt Disney World in Florida, you may want to consider Disneyland in California, especially if you're a Disney fan. Like I said, you could pair it with Hollywood. You could see the El Capitan Theater. You can see, you can go to Walt's Barn. You can go to Griffith Park, which inspired Disneyland, and so all sorts of things in the area that you can enjoy. There's also a really great Adventures by Disney. I'm going to link to my Adventures by Disney video. What is Adventures by Disney? That includes Disneyland, as well as tours of Jim Henson's studios and Disney Imagineering that you can't get unless you're on that tour. So if you're a Disney fan, there's definitely some cool things to check out for Disneyland. If you're located in the middle of the country and you're trying to decide between Disney World or Disneyland, those are some of the differences, and you're definitely going to have a different experience at both. If you'd like help deciding which is the best one for you, of course, you can schedule a call with myself or one of the agents at Showcase the World Travel. If you would like to start planning your vacation without overwhelm, get the guide. It is right below. We are going to have a lot more Disneyland content coming out soon, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you get all of that information, as well as all of our Disney World content and our Traveling with Family content as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget to take a break from the busy.
Need help planning your next family vacation? Visit us at showcasetheworld.com to request a quote or schedule a free vacation consultation. Want more great travel tips? You'll find those there too.